just parted ways with a business partner, and our team essentially went down to just two people. It was me and Andrew, who's been with me from the beginning. And I had to find a way to build a company the right way. And interesting, I don't use the word rebuild because I never built it properly in the first place. And I acknowledge that. I made a ton of mistakes in my first few years. And, that's natural, right? I went from being a sales negotiator
in a corporate
agency.
Yeah.
I was never in a position of leadership management. So I didn't have the experience, the skills, the knowledge to lead and manage people, recruitment, all that sort of stuff. I just knew how to be a great agent.
Yeah.
Great
and you
estate
really
agent.
were. I remember talking to you. That was not the problem, was it?
For me, that's not the problem. I knew how to be successful in agency, and the power of building amazing relationships with people. And that's part of our success is, I've still got the same clients I have from when we first started the business. And that just goes to show those relationships, they're real. And you have to maintain them, you have to work on them, and you've got to deliver as well, right? But yeah, so we had some hard times, and
what were those hard times? Because I think one of the big reasons for me inviting you on, and is to inspire people that were probably where you were.
Yeah.
And I believe more people are in that spot now than they are in the spot that you're currently sitting in.
Yeah.
And that's not about bragging. It's actually the whole idea of this podcast is I get to meet so many different people at so many different stages, from self-employed agents literally just launching, to the likes of Peter Knight and Peter Rollings recently, to prehistoric, fantastic leaders, but they Pistol Pete and Peter Knight. It was just a brilliant conversation. And I took so much away from that. And I feel the same when I'm talking to people that are doing really well. And I'd say you're under the radar somewhat. And that's because of, I know why.
Yeah.
Because that's your character, and I love that. But I feel sometimes we don't necessarily look back at how far we've come, and I wanted this to be an opportunity to do so.
Yeah, it's nice to talk about the journey, and it's obviously easier to talk about it now, seeing how far I've come, right? And, as I said, I went from a sales negotiator to owning a business, running a business, and I had a business partner. And like anyone, when they first start a business, it's full of energy, determination, grit, hunger, like you're just going for it. And, where we were a few years into the business probably wasn't where we would hope to have been. And that can put pressure, right? It can put pressure. And sadly, running a business and being a business owner and sacrificing what you may have to sacrifice isn't for everyone.
What sort of sacrifices?
Financial
sacrifices,
right? Time.
Yes.
Relationships with your loved ones.
Yeah.
That goes into time because you're not having the time that you usually would spend with them. You're not clocking off at 6 o'clock and forgetting about the office.
No, you don't really switch off.
As a business owner, you don't. You go on holiday with your laptop, I mean, don't get me wrong, there are the times where you can, but really as a business owner, there's a deep level of responsibility and accountability that you need to always be available to your team, to certain clients, etc. Right? So if you have that level of care as well, that you just want to make sure everyone's always okay, you're always going to remain available. So you have that, and it's in a tough market, and you add that onto the mix as well. Right? It can be really, really challenging, and it's not for everyone. And, when we made the decision to part ways, I took it as an opportunity just to restart.
Start again.
Yeah, I always had that determination, I think, for me. When I put my mind to something and I want to do it, and even more so when people probably don't think I can do it, gives me even more determination to do it. And I just have a level of self-belief. And I think that's really important.
Yeah.
You've got to back yourself. I always knew how to be an agent. I didn't quite know about leadership, recruitment, management. and how to look at it. And you know, when I look back, even if I had learnt management, I would have learnt it the corporate style.
Yeah.
And that is also not...
You've got to unlearn that to a degree.
Yeah. And looking back, number one, that's not my natural style. And number two, that style doesn't work anymore. I mean, there might be some elements that are good, but lots that are probably not. And, you know, that for me was a big turning point. That was our struggles, recruitment and hiring. But as we start to nail that's brick by brick.
Well, let's go to that. Let's dive into that, because that reflects back on that call we had.
Yes, it does. Yeah.
I can't remember how the conversation started, but I think you just lost someone, or you were really to the bare bones.
Yeah. So, you know, after my business partner and I parted ways, there was three of us that was working together, and then one of the other key people handed their notice in. And she was also quite an important moment. Essentially, when you're just down to three people, I mean, everyone's got to play an important part, right? And then she handed a notice in. And look, I get it. She done the right thing for her at that time.
Did she move on to another company, or was she moving out of the industry?
Yeah, she not completely in property, but more looking. I can't remember exactly what role it was, but it wasn't in the estate agency. It wasn't property management related.
How did it feel when you got that sort of notice given to you? At that time, it felt like a gut punch to me. Yeah.
And probably my hardest and lowest point.
Yeah, I remember.
And
what did it make you think, though, at the time? What was going through your mind?
Look, the initial reaction is it's just like, where do I go from here?
Yeah.
Right. It was like, I was in that position. It was difficult to remember truly. Yeah, it was a hard position to be in. I think it was a hard position to be in, and I was like, where do I go from here? How do I put this back together in the right way? And you know, going from 3 down to 2. I mean, that's when you and I connected. And you know, as I said, the biggest challenge is just making sure that we hire the right type of people for the organisation.
It was a lesson, wasn't it? Do you remember? It was the best lesson to badly wrapped.
Yeah, I mean, look, if that never happened, I wouldn't have learned what I've learned.
Right? Growth is uncomfortable. People make me laugh. They want growth, but they don't.
Yeah,
they want it easy.
Yeah,
like there's no easy is comfort. Yeah, comfort is not courage.
Yes.
So what they do is they shrink their box. They end up kind of, you know, just withdrawing. Yeah. You know, when challenges occur.
Yeah,
they withdraw. And that's the opportunity to expand.
Yeah.
And it's difficult to think that way at the time. But I've lost loads of people over the years.
Yeah.
I'd say a handful I didn't want to lose. The majority we should probably look back and think we didn't hire them in the right way in the first place, you know? And I think as you go through the years of business, you know, how you hire people, how you attract people changes.
Yeah.
And it wouldn't change if you weren't willing to take the lessons on board.
Yeah.
And that's what you did.